Hi, my name is James Stevenson. I'm the community lead at Insomniac Games, and we're working on Sunset Overdrive for Xbox One.
Okay, so going right back to the start, where did the concept for Sunset Overdrive come from? Is it an idea that's been kicking around the office for a few years? Tell me about the origins of the game.
So we were working on Resistance 3 about 3 years ago, and we've kind of been consumed with the apocalypse, and we still really like the idea of the apocalypse and kind of the changes that brings, but we're also a little tired of sort of the dark, depressing, dreary, gray, brown, rubble-filled apocalypse. We really love the ideas of stuff like the Omega Man with Charlton Heston driving this boat of a convertible down LA streets, or Will Smith from I Am Legend hitting golf balls off an aircraft carrier. It's kind of actually awesome when the apocalypse happens. It can be crappy, but it also can be great. Like, there's no rules, there's no one telling you what to do, there's no society, there's no police. You can climb on buildings, you can play your music loud, you can blow stuff up, you can hit golf balls off an aircraft carrier, and trying to highlight some of the more fun aspects of how the apocalypse, one man's apocalypse, can be your awesome apocalypse is really where things got started from the very beginning on Sunset Overdrive.
Okay, so some of the other games that are mentioned in relation to Sunset Overdrive are Jet Set Radio, maybe a bit of Crackdown, certainly some Tony Hawk as well. Were these all games that you were looking at from the start? Are these games that you want to pluck the best bits out of them on the way to creating your game? Like, what's the relationship you've got with them?
So I think at the start we weren't necessarily like, oh, we want to be Jet Set Radio or anything like that. The idea really was more about kind of the awesome apocalypse idea and the society, in a world where the rules are gone, what does society become? But as we were developing the game, we started adding more and more abilities. Like, we wanted you to get around the city and be able to get around the city quickly and do cool moves, and style and self-expression was really important. So how could you stylishly move around? And it sort of grew organically, I think. So, I hope that people see us as Jet Set Radio or Tony Hawk, because those games did like traversal and movement really, really well, and we're doing it really well. And I think, we of course, like, when we started adding those elements, began to look at those games to make sure, like, how do they address these issues? What we were running into when we were designing it. But I think our game still feels unique and different in how it moves in itself. Like I said, we get Tony Hawk with guns or other things, but it's, I hope that's because those games are so good and we're getting close to the bar that they set.
You mentioned the art style. It's one of the most striking things about the game. And it seems strange. We had a generation of very dark brown games. Why do you think that is? Why do you think a game that prioritizes fun and color and excitement in that way is in the minority? It's a strange situation we find ourselves in.
Where we got with video games, I think people were just excited because you had so much power. You could do realistic-looking things. Maybe years ago we were disguising things with color, and that was the design choice at the time. But I miss that. I miss that Dreamcast era of blue skies and lots of color. So bringing that back, was a no-brainer. And we had spent, 7-8 years at that point working on Resistance, and we had been in browns and grays, and it was like we wanted that breath of fresh air. And a lot of the people that had come to Insomniac, during Resistance, it came because they loved Ratchet and they loved Spyro, and they wanted to get back to making something that was kind of in that realm of color and stylization. And so I think it was kind of the heritage of our studio in some ways, and the excitement of a lot of people that have come to Insomniac because they love those games, to bring that back into Sunset Overdrive.
Okay, so the weapons that we've seen so far, they're all nuts. What can you tell us about the kind of crazy things that we'll be doing once we get to play the game?
There's a huge arsenal of weapons in Sunset Overdrive. They're all sort of hodgepodge. They feel like they were handmade. You're going to get them from different people in the world. You're going to see crazy weapons like the TN Teddy, which is essentially a grenade launcher that launches a teddy bear stuffed with dynamite, and the teddy's like trying to get away from you. You'll see weapons like the Roman candle, which is a bunch of Roman candles taped together, and it's the guy behind my shoulder has it, and allows you to fire fireworks off at people. There's stuff like the propane launcher, which is kind of a rocket launcher where you launch a whole propane tank at people. There's a bowling ball launcher where you get to launch bowling balls. I mean, there's crazy stuff in this game, and it all looks kind of homemade, improvised, and gives you a nice opportunity to have a lot of mutant destruction in various ways.
So how kind of story-based is the game? We know it's a sandbox. We know there's going to be a emergent play. But how big is the story? How important is it to Sunset Overdrive?
Story's a huge thing in Sunset Overdrive. I mean, you'll be able to pick your character and play male as female, but their characters are fully voiced. So there's cinematics. You're going to meet interesting people across the city. There's a whole campaign where every single mission in the kind of main golden storyline of the game, where the story missions, the key missions of the game, all have unique features and gameplay hooks that are added to them. And you'll meet people throughout the city and interact with them and find out what's going on. So some of the folks you'll meet are like a group of adult adventurers that are called Troop Bushido, and they were out on parade the night everything went down. They've holed up inside a Japanese heritage museum, and they have now adopted the Bushido code, and they've grabbed all the armor out of the museum and taken the samurai swords, and so they're sort of like half adventurers and half samurai at this point. You'll run into a group of live action role players that were in the park working on a unit when the monsters attacked, and they thought they now are kind of mentally damaged and a little emotionally scarred, and they think their unit has come to life. They've holed up inside the community center, and they have all the sporting equipment added to their LARPing gear. And so you're going to meet them, you're going to kind of get their personalities, you're going to help them with various things in the world. And there's a larger storyline going on too, where your character first is just trying to escape the city and then starts to learn how to survive and really thrive, and is going to be kind of dealing with the ramifications of this corporation that released this energy drink. So there's a lot of story, voice acting, cinematics. Like, it's a big story that I think people will really like.
You touched on it a bit there, but can you explain a bit more about the structure of the game, of what we're actually going to be doing within this bright, colourful world?
So the structure of the game is an open world game. You'll go into the city. There's story-based missions that you can start and go through the story-based missions. And there's a huge campaign and storyline. There's also side quests, which will be other people in the city giving you quests that will generally kind of give you some more of the backstory and other little flavor of the world. And then you also have certain challenges, which would be, like, one's called Smash TV, and you have to smash as many TVs as possible with your melee weapon only, no guns, within a certain amount of time, and you can see how you're doing versus your friends and things like that. So there's a lot of content to do beyond just, doing the story campaign, and then you'll be able to go find collectibles and recipes to craft special powers for your character, things like that. So beyond just even missions and challenges and quests, there's just stuff to find in the world and random events that'll happen on the streets. So there's a lot of stuff to see as you're kind of exploring Sunset City.
So with regards to platform exclusivity, some PlayStation fans are still angry about it, and maybe some of the more entrenched Xbox fans are kind of skeptical. What's the messaging there to kind of smooth over that? Do you feel that you have to win over Microsoft users?
So far, I think Xbox users have been really excited, and there's a lot of Xbox fans that we knew back in our old days and have played Ratchet and loved our games and are excited to play Sunset Overdrive. I think, for anyone that wants to know about that, Microsoft was publishing the game. We showed the game to a lot of people. They're a partner that believed in us. They believed in the vision of the game, and it was also important to us as creators of Sunset Overdrive that we continue to own the rights to our creation, and that's something that's really, really important, and it was something Microsoft was willing to give us as well. So it's been a great partnership with Microsoft. We're really excited to have the game out there. We're excited someone would believe in, a colorful, stylized vision for a game this big and this exciting, and I think that, that says a lot of it for us, and we're just really happy with how it's turned out in that partnership. So. Sunset Overdrive is coming out on October 31st exclusively on Xbox One.